Okay. Oh, that's 719, not 17. Okay. First of all, if you haven't, one or two people I think have signed up for mapping the Hogs Mill next week. If you haven't, please do think again or think some more. Really like you to come along if you can at all. If you can't make the whole day, you've got to leave early or something, that's fine. Or if you can't arrive till a bit later in the day, that's fine as well. That's not a reason to not come along. It's probably, I suspect, it could be the most useful day of your entire career here at the university. Opportunity to meet with, I think we've got people from the local council, potentially the Environment Agency, we've got local volunteers, people from the Biodiversity Network, things like that coming. So quite a mixture of people, but I'm getting a little worried that we're a little low on people with GIS skills. So if you at all can make it, I enthuse you to come. And as I say, don't worry if you can't make the whole day. Okay. Well, Andy was meant to, I believed Andy had talked to you. Basically, they moved it. He had a sort of help week the next week after. So he said he was prepared to swap them. I certainly, if I were you, or if I were me in your shoes, I would say sod the statistics and go and have a good day's play. But then that's me. Unless you're desperate to know that particular bit of statistics that he's teaching. If he hasn't moved it, he has moved it. So you are free. Do come along, please, please. Yeah, come and have fun. We're going to teach. Sorry.
You have to sign up first.
I would like you to sign up because I only want so many places. There's lots of tickets. I've got about 12 people out of 30 tickets to sign up. So please do sign up. Yeah, free food. You know, free sandwiches, tea, coffee, glory. Sorry? We'll start at 9:30 in the morning and we'll go up until, well, I've booked rooms till 6, but I suspect we'll start to wind down at 4, half 4 for sort of concluding remarks to finish maybe 5, half 5. It's very difficult to know how long things will go on. Depends how much people have to talk to each other or whether they've had enough by 4 o'clock and just want to get home early. Yeah, it's very difficult to know. But I really want those of you with tech skills, we've got app building to do. We've got various ways of displaying time series to do. There's data capture to do. There's lots of interesting, fun stuff we can get up to. Any other questions over there? Yeah, brilliant. If it works well, I might try and incorporate this as part of the course in future years, have a day's activity. Anyway, okay, great, if you could make that. Okay, spatial data on the web today. So first of all, we're going to mop up the odds and sods that we haven't really talked about, or some of the odds and sods of spatial data on the World Wide Web. I think about 4 or 5 of them that I just want to cover briefly that we haven't dealt with. Then a quick introduction to Web 2.0, and then a lengthier section on volunteered geographic information, which of course is highly relevant to next week's mapping the Hogs Mill, which involves volunteers who map the river, and I'll talk about that in the lecture. Okay, so we've seen some various kinds of spatial data and information on the web, the various types of maps that we looked at when we were looking at Clark's classification. There's all these downloadable spatial files from various places, in data in shape files, data in geodatabases, map info formats. There are non-spatial data files, Excel spreadsheets, Access databases, CSV files that have geographic coordinates, but aren't actually what we would call spatial formats, inherently spatial formats. Maybe they have coordinates, maybe they have things like country names, location names that can be geocoded. The web and indeed libraries are full of documents which contain geographic data either in some kind of free or semi-structured text. So free text as in it's incorporated into the writing or in some table or something like that, semi-structured in a table. Then the fifth one that I've got, which is basically what I'm probably dealing with mostly today, is spatially referenced files. Things like geocoded photographs, metadata, various metadata tags on HTML pages, 3D building models. Not things that we think of as spatial formats, but things that nevertheless can have spatial data attached to them in various forms or fashions. The other sorts of spatial information is things like geocoding services. They're not data per se, but they add meaning to data. So here are some of the things that we're going to have a quick, just sort of one slide on each of these, couple of slides on each of these things so that we get understanding. So the first thing I want to talk about is web scraping. Web scraping was one of the earliest ways in which data was extracted out of the World Wide Web, and it basically involves reading HTML pages, searching for keywords and phrases and structured sections of text in web pages, and then trying to automatically extract that information. It's also called web harvesting, screen scraping, web data extraction. Basically, you get some kind, you either download a page or access a page in some form or fashion, but often what happens is that you release some kind of programmatic bot onto the internet, which then crawls lots and lots of web pages and sends the results back to you. Basically, these bots, or the program that you write, the word parse means to sort of analyze, process, and extract. It's basically how you take a bit of text and turn it and extract the parts out of that text. So we parse the HTML and indeed other documents. We can do this on PDF files. We can do it on any file that contains text, which we're looking for things, bits in the text that we can identify and then extract the attributes out. So if you had latitudes and longitudes, we could look for the text, the different text strings that might be used for displaying lats and longs, drag those out, put them into a row in a table. If you do it by a bot, the bot goes out, grabs this data, and then sends it back to your database, returns it to your database. And this is how search engines find and index web pages. They send these bots out. They extract the keywords out of the HTML headers, but also out of the text itself. And then they send that information back to the Google big page engine for indexing. This is also used for targeted advertising a lot. They'll trawl through pages, find out what type of page it is, what it's communicating about, then try and match their advertising to the topic of the page. So web scraping is one way of getting data, extracting data, obtaining data. I wouldn't say it's a common thing